Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Me, Sarah White. I'm here filling in for Mog and Mel on Sketch Up tonight, and they are actually living it up in Chicago at C2E2. So if you guys happen to be hitting that convention up, then they are at booth T12 in the Artist Alley, and you should go say hi. Tell them I sent you. So you should also hit that follow button so that we can keep showing you stuff from the experience. It's all good stuff if you haven't watched it already. And don't forget to go check out the Wix store. And let's see. Let's start introducing some guests. All right. Right now we got Les. Hey,
Hello.
Les. How's it going?
Hey, y'all. I'd have my face on here, but the StreamYard won't let me switch back and forth between the camera and between my cameras real easily, unless I'm like presenting. So. I want to sound funny because I have to hold my pen in my mouth sometimes.
That works. We can see the art. That's the important thing for this.
It's probably
show,
for the
right?
best he's not on camera.
It really is.
I was never gonna say that I'm
I say that because I love him. He's one of the favorite people I've met on one of these shows so far.
Oh. Well, and everybody, Fish, you've been on here probably as many times as Mog and Mel have by now, right?
I'm honestly surprised I haven't been asked to guest host yet. I guess it's because I'm always drawing. But yeah, I'm on here almost as much as they are.
Yeah. Surely you can guest host and draw, right?
Oh yeah, I've taken over a few times, like when Mel's camera gets cut off or something, he got kicked out, and just for fun.
Interesting. So, also, welcome to the show, Iggy.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to watch the artists do the work. I'm a writer, so I don't get to do the fun stuff, but I get to admire it.
You're one of those.
One of those.
I'm kind of jealous a little bit.
You got the hard part.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, for either I'm doing all the illustration or I'm doing the illustration and the writing. I never have that time to like hand the job to somebody else where I can do other stuff, like advertising or pitching. If I'm pitching a book, I'm not drawing the next pages. And I wish I had a team to help.
Right.
That's fair. I'm too self-conscious to do any stuff on here. Like I did say that I could make a bead sprite thing on here very first time I was on, and then I didn't do anything because I couldn't make the camera setup work. So, what you gonna do, right? But maybe someday I'll do that. I definitely. I mean, I'm already scheduled to be back on the show in a couple of weeks, so I'll be back.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, y'all are gonna get sick of my face. So sick of my face.
Never.
So.
Trying to get my light out of the way of my camera there. So I may have to turn the overhead on back here.
That's fair. Well, when you get to the point where we're ready to show it off, you can just hold it up a little bit. I guess hold your art up, and then Because I mean, we can see it pretty good right now. It looks pretty awesome.
I can probably. Let's do. Is that better?
There you go. Yeah. That's much closer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a character from my new book. So, which is called Brides. It's a book that poses it's actually a dead serious book. It's not hokey at all, but the initial idea when spoken can seem really hokey. What if the Bride of Frankenstein decided her life would be made so much better if she could become a vampire? So she hunts down the brides of Dracula to have them make her one.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm down.
It's a wild story, but I'm the artist and the writer, so
I was gonna ask if this one was yours. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, when the idea hit me, and I do this a lot, I overwrite like all the time, and so like I wrote a story Bible for this, laying out the background of the world, the reasoning for the vampires, the whole thing about the reanimated stuff that Frankenstein makes, and it ended up being a 20,000 word story Bible.
Wow.
And it's
understand
big.
That.
So hopefully it takes off to where I'll get to do, all the stories that are kind of in that.
Well, I found Mr. Fish's Alice Lost in Wonderland on Kickstarter, but Les, I didn't find your brides. Is there a certain way to search it on Kickstarter for the pre-launch page?
Yes, I can put a link in the private chat if you want.
Probably even better. Probably going to get you more people.
There you go.
Searching.
Should I put it in the comments?
Background Kyle can take it from the private chat or wherever and stick it in the main comments.
Yeah,
so everybody can get the link to it.
My setup is like kind of, I have to turn 90 degrees to my computer and stuff to reach over and do anything. It's probably why I sound like I'm in a barrel, because the microphone's like behind me. But such is the setup that I have.
Yeah. I'm kind of doing the same thing. I set a secondary webcam up on my drawing pad so it's facing me, so I cannot be looking to the side, but I still got to look to the side to see what y'all are doing.
Yeah, I use my iPhone on an arm over my drafting board, and then a camera over my Cintiq. And it's kind of fun. Like this is fun because most of the time I work almost exclusively digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Lately I've been going back and doing a lot of airbrushing. Since I finally got, like, I don't know if I zoomed out, you could see it off to the side. There's a big manifold here with 2, 4, 5, 6 airbrushes.
And cool.
I've got a whole big setup over here for doing that stuff. I wonder if I'll tell you what. Let me just
get one airbrush to work. Airbrushes are the devil, aren't they?
I'll show you one of my recent airbrush pieces from Brides. Yeah, here she is. This is a good one. So,
hey, we got a bunch of people coming into the comments here.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh.
So that's these are all variant covers for Brides.
So pretty. Oh my gosh.
And
how long does one of those take you? Just out of curiosity.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
I'm game. I put $1 on that.
16 minutes. That's what I'm going with.
I do about 2 of these a day.
Okay.
No,
okay.
you don't.
Yeah.
How many Red Bulls do you drink?
He's 2.0. I'm telling you, I love this dude.
When I'm working on interior pages, I pencil and ink 4 to 6 pages a day.
See, I've switched my process, and now I'm just penciling the whole book and then inking it so I can get stuff to my flatter faster. And I just penciled a whole book in 2.5 days, I think, which isn't the shortest I've ever done, but it was had a bunch of New York City stuff in it, so it took a while.
I did
these
a
are
2-page short story once, and it took me a week to get it all done. This is why I'm never the one drawing on the show.
I'm not either. I'm looking at his stuff.
These are
nobody's drawing right now.
some of the originals of the covers to brides.
Man.
Oh, cool. Just drop it right there. That's my wife coming in, bringing me a little sugar fix.
Aww.
So, say hey. But,
I would need a little sugar from the wife.
I thought this was a PG-13 show.
Oh.
It is. He's pushing the line. He's pushing.
This is not from Brides. This is from a book that I just finished, a 6-issue series called Paradox. It was a pretty wild one. That was a fun piece to do.
Man, that's beautiful stuff, man. You make me feel that.
I love doing nature stuff. It just, I don't know. I guess, I'm a rural guy. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and so doing nature stuff just kind of comes natural.
I'm always on this show thinking about, like, I'm writing down names for who I'm gonna try and ask for a cover next time.
Oh, I'm telling you. He may be too busy, but you need to holler at him.
I'll be the cheapest, but it won't sell.
I'm frequently available.
You can do 2 of those in a day. You must be available all the time. Wow, that's so fast.
My work day is 12 hours. I'm at work by 5 a.m. and I stop at 5 p.m.
What a punk. What a
5 a.m. is
punk.
not a real time. Okay, I don't believe that. I don't believe in 5 a.m. It's not real.
I'm up at 4:30. I'm in the shop by 5. I literally have a schedule every day for when I'm doing pages. It's like the first page has to be done by 9 a.m. Second page has to be done by noon. I take a break for a half hour, go to the house, get lunch with my wife, hang out for half hour, 45 minutes, come back to the shop. By 2:30 to 3 o'clock, the third page of the day is done. By 5 o'clock, the last page is done. And then I go to
project manager mentality.
Jeez.
I wish I had that kind of organization. I could have some time off.
That's crazy. Wow.
It's my day is regimented down to like the minute. Like it's 12 hours of drawing, then 2 to 3 hours in the gym, an hour to 2 hours with dinner and hang out with the wife, then bed, rinse and repeat.
Wow. So are we? Is this show keeping you up past your bedtime then?
Yes. Way past.
I had a suspicion.
But I am, I'm making concessions this week because we're about to launch Brides. We were gonna launch Wednesday, but there was the folks who are running the campaign for me. Couldn't launch a new campaign till the previous one finished fulfilling, and they had some stuff that hadn't shipped yet to them, so they couldn't yet. So I'm going to be talking with them. We'll probably make the decision tonight whether it's going to launch tomorrow or Saturday.
Well, I'm following now, so I'll keep my eyes open for it. Following both of y'all's.
Yeah, I got to get on that and follow that one because I'm absolutely backing that. 100%.
We're up to 200 and last time I checked, it was 231 pre-launch signups on it.
That's awesome, man.
233.
Oh, it went up again. Nice.
Yeah, I'm 233.
Yeah, I was gonna say Iggy just did it, so yeah. And I'm on there too, and I clicked notify me on launch, and then it said sign in. So I guess I'm not doing that right now because I have no idea what the password is. I'll do that after the show because I definitely want to keep an eye on it. Right now, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I'm sitting here going like, how do I keep buying more comics because I'm out of money right now?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs open right now, and they're all carts full of comics. That's what they are.
Right.
That's the problem.
And I'm just like, can I like sell a kidney or
you got to?
Yeah, exactly. I only really need one, right?
It's
a
good
kidney. I don't drink. I probably should drink more water. So maybe I'm not really good about staying hydrated, but like. It's in good shape otherwise.
I like how you're selling the positives on it. Like, no, but it's really good. If anybody in the comments section is interested.
Yeah, if you guys,
it's barely used. I can't even remember the last time I kidneyed. It's
that's what I'm saying.
I haven't used it in years as far as I know.
So, Iggy, you have
Yes.
a project that you came here to talk about, so we should talk about that. And I am going to let you introduce it because I don't want to mess up the name.
No worries, no worries. We got one live right now. So I'm Iggy. I operate under the Project Nerd brand. We look like a big brand, but it's me, Project Nerd. So don't let that trick you. But we do a number of comic books. We just wrapped up the 4 issue number 2, which I think I have the 4 number 1 right there. We helped Andrew Tarasov on his Pinupocalypse graphic novel, published that. The Bulletproof Kid out of Australia. I wrote Blaze, Billy, Esme, and of course now we have Eriu, Mission Unknown live, which is our space fiction one. Kind of think Barbarella meets Kill Bill meets John Carter, Deja Thoris, little Star Trek in there as well. This is our
Carter.
There you go. Yeah, this is our probably our raciest, our biggest adventure yet. Billy being our most successful campaign. This one we put a lot more into, and it's looking good. We're about a week in, and I think we've passed 70% on the campaign there. I dropped the comment in our private chat, or I'm sorry, the link in our private chat. Pretty exciting. Eriu is actually the Irish goddess of life, named after Erin, or Erin is named after Eriu, which Erin is, if people are familiar with Ireland, and my wife's name is Erin, so that's where the name comes from.
Nice. Yeah, I was thinking it was Eriu, so I'm very happy that I was right on the pronunciation, but I didn't want to mess it up, so it was right to ask you first.
Yeah, if I pulled my lore correctly, Eriu is the goddess of life and abundance from old Irish lore, and Morrigan, who is our villain, the evil queen, she is the goddess of death in the old Irish lore. So that's where we pulled those names from.
Awesome. Yeah, Mel gave me some notes, and he did say that yours is a bit NSFW, so we can't show it on the show.
Oh yeah, understood. This was if I'm just gonna be straightforward. I love you Kickstarter backers, but many of you are a little on the pervier side. So we tried a little bit on the racier covers this time around, and I'm gonna be honest, it's already doing much better than my last 2 campaigns. So that's why we have our covers up there.
I love cheesecake covers. They're always so pretty, and I think as long as you're not selling something that isn't in the book, like if you're selling something huge that's not in the book, that's a little misleading. But I see no problem with cheesecake covers otherwise. They're so pretty. I like pretty color. I like pretty covers.
Oh, for sure. Andrew Tarasov is a pinup artist. Some of y'all might have heard of him, Pinupocalypse. He's a good friend of mine. Love helping his campaigns. His artwork is that pinup style and absolutely just beautiful. One of my favorite artists.
You can so Kyle said he can share the link because he censored the Kickstarter page. Please, people, do that. Awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Wait,
yeah. Kickstarter makes you censor the page.
Yeah, Kickstarter doesn't like it. I had one time where I put one up and I missed one censor box, and the project went live when I had forgotten to do it, and then I saw it and I freaked out, and I was like, what do I do? And it turns out they were fine with it. They were just like, yeah, you can upload a new picture, we'll let you, no problem.
I've even seen a few live with uncensored pictures that have made the campaigns we love. So I think it really depends on the person you have monitoring your section.
Yeah, a little more conservative than others in there, and yeah, it definitely depends.
Right, but it's 32 pages. I did in the updates today, it was our second update to the backers, entice them to push us across that finish line with the stretch goals. Our stretch goals can put it to 48 or even 64 pages at no additional cost for our backers. So I have 64 pages written for it. It can go across 2 issues, or we can throw it all into one nice graphic novel. We'll see what the backers decide.
Nice.
Nice.
I like less and I write too much. I have, I think, I'm close to 20 different series Bibles and probably 12 finished scripts. Cost a lot. It costs a lot to make these things, though. So a lot of those are sitting in the background right now, waiting.
I should start doing that. Like if we hit a higher stretch goal, we add more story. Because I always end up having to cut out like 2 or 3 pages of stuff I really want to put in a book, But I'm like, well, if I put those 2 pages, I got to come up with 4 pages to make the page count right. That makes the book more expensive. I should just do that as a stretch goal. We got $1,000 over, you get that extra 4 pages. Right. And, you can always fill the extra stuff up with character bio or thank yous or something.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites was we offered extra pages on Billy, our Western here. I think it ended up being 60 pages. But one of the perks we had was get drawn into the comic, right? Which is a fun perk some people like. And I had somebody back it. And then I got a private message request from somebody that I hadn't met. And they said, hey, did blah, blah, blah just back your Kickstarter as a drawn-in character? And I was like, I don't know if I should release that information. And he's like, I promise I'm that person's friend. So I was like, yes, they backed it at that. And he goes, okay, if I back it at that, can you do a panel where I'm shooting him in the crotch? And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I was like, let's go for it right now. So they both backed it at that. We had a couple extra pages. So it's almost like a post-credit scene is how we kind of did it. We had the whole comic. Then we had like the thank you page and the whole page. And then there's just a 1 extra page of a woman walking a horse past these 2 guys arguing. And the guy just shoots him right in the crotch. So he got what he wanted.
I love that. That is awesome.
I remember a long time ago, another book I was working on. I was helping that one of the people who backed at a very high level actually asked for something like they wanted to be violently murdered in the book, and I was like, okay. Yeah, I was like, I guess that's cool as long as the artist is cool with violently murdering you in the book. And it ended up being really cool, and we all got to know the backer pretty well. Like we're friends now, so it was fun. And it's very interesting, and I'm always intrigued by people's reasons for wanting to be in a cameo in a book at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which because a lot of it's usually it's not vanity stuff. It's always they back it to do a cameo for a friend of theirs or a loved one, and it's always sweet. So it's really interesting the stories that you learn of your backers when you do something like that.
Yeah, I just for once, because I got COVID during the last campaign for Green Zone issue 4, I didn't have the book done by the end of the campaign. Usually it's done before the start, but I was doing everybody else's books and got a little slowed down. And so anyway, I was finishing up the last couple of pages after the campaign, and I had all these scenes at the end of it with crowds that I had just roughed in. And I was like, you know what? The campaign's over. I know who the backers are. So I just started going down the backer list and adding mostly people that I knew would be okay with it, and which was most of the early backers. And so I just started sticking people in the background left and right. And it was really cool. I've started getting some messages from some of them, and I can definitely tell, like some people have done unboxing videos and stuff and gave me shout outs, but they clearly haven't read the book yet because I haven't got that. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. But I've started getting a bunch of those from people, and that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. You know what we didn't do yet that I forgot about? So this is why I'm just a guest host. We didn't talk about what you're drawing today and how much you guys want your bids to start at. So, Fish, I think you said 65, right?
Yeah, I am doing a Green Zone sketch cover, and in honor of Mog and Mel, even though they're not here today, this is a character from. Whoops, there we are. This is a character from issue 4 that we meet for the first time. That Mog had a huge hand in helping me not create but round out the character, and she's Danny's mom, Sergeant Kim's wife from the book. And we're meeting her for the first time. And I was asking Mog's help when I was writing this one section. I was like, what would your mom do in this situation if she just met Virgil for the first time in the hospital and he's all scary and all this stuff? And when she gave me the response for what her mom would have done, it blew my mind, kind of made me cry a little bit. And it completely changed. Like, I had to add pages to the book to add another scene with her in it just to flesh out the changes that have happened now because of Mog's input on it. I actually listed her as one of my creative consultants on issue 4 because of her help with that. And I really appreciate it. So in honor of her, I'm doing the character of Susan Kim and her husband down lower,
Very awesome.
Richard Kim, or Dickie as she calls him, which I just think's hilarious because he's so mean. And to have her just run in and be like, it's just so funny to me. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, you can pick this up and I will ship it out to you in the morning if you want it.
Cool. I missed a bunch of people that came in and said hi, but I did see you all. And Kenneth says he's goodbye. He says, hope everyone has a wonderful day and night with all your family members and friends, and best of luck with all your family members and friends. Thank you.
Kenneth seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. Oh,
very polite. Very polite goodbye.
Yeah, talked a bit to Kenneth. Kenneth is here often, right, Fish? Fish is here more than I am. Yeah, but I've definitely talked to Kenneth a bit before. And Steve, check the comments there. Kyle put you in there to answer your question. And and Les, what are you drawing, and how much is your open bid? Or
open bid starts $100. This is Eva. She is the bride of Frankenstein from my book Brides. So I'm kind of in this real groove for drawing her lately because I'm, 20 pages deep in the first book, which is slated for, I think, 44 pages. So, which, yeah, the Kickstarter will go live either tomorrow or Saturday. I'm not sure which one, and we're only going to run it for 3 weeks. So, got to get in and get it while the getting's good. And the folks who are helping me out with it have a consistent record of fulfillment within a month.
Awesome.
So, it will move quick. So, yeah,
is this one a bit on the spicier side? I can't remember. You were talking about it earlier, but
so it kind of is, but not in a tawdry sort of way. The book is, I would call it it's a gothic horror novel, and it does have a scene in it that illustrates. So the point for Eva of trying to gain this vampire blood is that she's learned that it will deaden your emotions. Well, her and her who she calls her brother Adam, the first monster from Frankenstein, they're notorious rage beasts. And for her, all of her response, everything's extreme. And there's a big allegory in it for the vampire blood being like taking SSRIs. So like there's a lot of layers to the story, but there is a really spicy scene where, to me, it's a spicy scene. It certainly doesn't get X-rated. If it were in a movie, it would probably be an R-rated scene. But I'm over explaining it. It's sexual, but not sexual just for the sake of sexual. You know what I'm saying? It's when you read it, you're like, oh, it's like, yeah, this is it's a moment that illustrates why she wants this.
It's not just fan service, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's really not. So, yeah, it's it's definitely a mature reader's book. I would definitely, be careful about. My kids grew up around this stuff, so they would be all, like they wouldn't give a damn. And
I was also going to say, are any of us really mature? Like, let's define mature here, right? Like, so.
I'm always telling people like
adult, but not really. Like age, yes. Maturity, no.
I won't do stuff that I won't show my kids or my grandkids, but at the same time, I'll show my kids and grandkids stuff you might not. So, like a lot of times people will see my book, The Mighty Caw, and think, oh, that looks like Saturday morning cartoons. That looks like He-Man. I'll buy that for my kid. And I'm like, just so you know, there's a lot of insides on the outside and a lot of heads turned the wrong way and stuff. So a lot of snake men get cut in half. So like, if you're not cool with your kid seeing that, I probably wouldn't buy it for him. But it was definitely geared more for the adult Saturday morning cartoon enthusiasts.
Nice. Do we want to stop for a second and show everybody your progress? And
no,
no,
just play it.
I mean, if you don't want to, I guess.
It kind of make it difficult on myself. That's what I've been doing.
That's fair. This is the first time Fish and I've hung out in
a minute.
Kind of a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, we chat on, text chat, but that's not.
But that's unusual for us to go this long and not like be on the show together or something.
Yeah, you need to come on to my show just to do it. So yeah, but we should take a quick break because I'm sure somebody's got to get up and run to the bathroom or get another drink or something. So
get more sugar from the missus.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Need a little sugar. Fish, where are you at with yours? I'm enjoying watching your.
I are right here. I am pretty much done with the inks, I think, and gonna let it dry for a second and then start working on some colors.
Awesome. And how about you, Les? I mean, we can see you pretty well. We can see it, so and it's looking beautiful.
Yeah, I went ahead and penciled up the blue lines on this before the show, so maybe I was a little bit of a cheat, but I mean, I did them like 10 minutes before the show. So I mean, it's coming along. I think it'll go pretty quick.
Awesome. It looks great.
My goal is to be able to do this inside the time frame of the show. I want it completely done before the show's over. So.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Awesome.
That's the idea.
So Fish has got an opening bid of $65 and Les has an opening bid of $100. And post your bids in the comments. And let's take a quick break.
Live from New York. What? Oh, sorry. Live from Cleveland? It's Friday night? It's Friday Night Live! With Nancy McCann. And Ricky. And sometimes Carlos. And featuring boxes and boxes of rare comics. Unique collectibles. Lots of smiles and conversations with new friends. Friday Night Live with Comics Unlimited. Friday night from 9 to 11 on The Experience.
Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
Symphonic verses, Nocturne's romance. A song of romanticized darkness, dreaming death by sleep.
Now we're back. Oh, there we go. Close up of Les's piece.
I was working on this leg, pulling out a brush pen for a little bit, different brush pen, doing some heavier, smoother lines on it.
Awesome. Very cool. So,
laying down the hold lines.
Everybody, just a quick recap on the beginning stuff. I'm Sarah. I'm guest hosting today because Mog and Mel are in Chicago at C2E2, and they're at, let me double check your table, T12. So go visit them in Artist Alley. If you are going to be at C2E2 this weekend, maybe maybe she'll have a open commission slot and you can grab it. I don't know. I have no idea what she's doing there this weekend because I'm not there. I'm here. Also, don't forget to hit the follow button and do the subscribe and the notification bell and all that fun stuff. And check out the Wix store for if you want to buy some of Mog's art. You can buy it there. It's pretty cool. I think it's cool. And someone else just popped into the chat and then it went away. Bridgeport Chronicles. How are you all? We are doing wonderfully. And so back to your art. This is looking pretty fancy. I am jealous.
Yeah, it's looking great.
I don't
fancy and or schmancy.
Yes, both even.
Yeah, this is fun stuff.
I'm always watch people working in permanent ink, and I'm just like, no.
Working. Not digging through my markers. It's not as much fun trying to dig through the markers and find the right color.
Very cool.
What's funny that
Erwin Papa
there's like
showed
this
up
little,
too. Hey, Erwin. Yeah.
There's
that
this
looks
funny
really
little
cool.
trick that you picked that I've never heard anybody talk about it, but it actually makes so much sense. Like as you're working with a pen like this, if you hold it so that your fingers are against the page instead of it, then like the number of fingers you put down against the page will help you control how much of the pen you hit the page with. So you can it's like if I'm down to all three fingers that are on the board, then I'm going to have a really light line. But if it's not, then I'm loose and it's going to go heavy. So there's like little tricks. I think it's neat. Like most of the time, people don't ever catch this stuff that's part of it, but the little tricks you develop with just your hand for how you handle the tools is, I don't know, I just think it's neat.
Oh yeah. Like I picked up stuff sign painting that I use inking all the time.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Like dragging my pinky along the board to keep the right distance so that I keep a nice consistent line.
Do a straight line by putting your finger down, and then you hold the pen there and pull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like old pinstriper stuff, man.
Oh yeah,
that's fun. Yeah, I used to run. I had 3 airbrush stores I didn't have them. That somebody else owned them, and I helped ran them and managed them and taught artists through most of the mid '90s. I was like a full-time airbrush guy, and I did that and drew comics.
That's epic.
It's that's why all the airbrushes. I mean, like there's you probably can't even see it on the camera, but like there's a groove worn in the side of my middle finger there from the way that the airbrushes sit against that finger.
Yeah.
From so many years and hours of just blasting those things away.
But be honest. Airbrushes are at least partially possessed by Satan himself, right?
Oh, they're inherently evil.
I mean, they create such beautiful work if you know what you're doing. But oh my gosh, they are so testy.
I don't clean them. I don't bother cleaning them. I found a type of gun on Amazon that is $15. It's this cheap little gun.
There you go.
It's a cheap little dual action that is built like it's a knockoff of an Iwata. It's $15. You buy it, you use it till it's dead, you throw it away and get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's wasteful.
Oh man, I used to do that. Testers that makes the model paint, the enamel model paints that you used to get at Walmart. They made a hell of a double action airbrush that you could get cheap. and I used a full. I mean, I painted cars with that thing. I painted fiberglass polar bears for Dixie Cafe. I painted all kinds of things with that little cheap thing.
Fiberglass polar
bears.
Yeah,
that's how I would do.
Into the conversation.
I did like 49 polar bears to go in all the stores because they closed their bars down to turn them into soda fountains, and they got this like proprietary blue ice cream made with pop rocks in it, and they made this whole soda fountain thing out of it, and they decorated it up with stick-on murals that my sign shop was painting, and then they hired me to do illustrations for the sculpture they were going to commission, and I was like, hey, could I put in a bid for this? And I got the bid. And so I had to farm out a fiberglass guy and all this stuff, and we made a giant mold like you would for an auto parts because he used to sculpt auto parts. And then I had to paint like 49 of these things. I worked 16 hours a day for like 65 days straight finishing those polar bears, to the point like for a month afterwards I'd wake up at midnight, supposed to be at work. And that's when I realized I have a problem, and I still kind of work that way all the time now.
I feel that.
Do any of those polar bears still exist today?
Oh, no, man. And that's the thing. When I'm designing it, they're like, oh, man, you need to make it super cool so kids want to, like, play on it. We want to encourage it to, be like something that kids are going to want to climb on and take pictures with. So I did. And a kid climbed on it, and then he fell and chipped his tooth, and then they hired us to pull them all out of all the restaurants. One chipped tooth, and it was all over. And
it's not even a bad injury. That's barely an injury at all. Come on, everybody smashed.
Character building story, if anything. It was probably baby tooth anyway.
Just pick a damn tooth up and put it back in.
Yeah,
Walk
that's
it
a
on.
good point. It was probably a freaking baby tooth.
Right.
What?
Call us when you break an arm.
Come on.
So I could have gotten one of the polar bears, but we lived in a single wide trailer at the time, and for some reason my ex-wife was not into letting me stick it in the front yard like I wanted to.
She wasn't game for that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, she was too
divorced her
busy.
then.
Oh, that's what you get for growing up with a basement. Yeah. No, thank you.
I have made my desire for a full-size carousel horse to put into the living room very clear. And if I was with anybody who did not fully support that, then I would not be with anybody at all. And the polar bear absolutely should have gone in the front lawn.
Yeah. I would love to have one of those. I would have probably repainted that thing 6 times by now if I had got to keep one. And it kills me that I didn't, because it's still one of the biggest and most expensive jobs I've ever done. And it was neat at like 20 something to be handling, thousands and thousands of dollars and subcontracting out, skilled labor and stuff. Like, that was really cool. And I was too stupid and ADHD to even consider that I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I'll figure it out. And I did. And it worked out. Had some bumps along the way, but it was a hell of a learning experience and lots of stories.
That's a small bit of redemption for not getting a polar bear.
Yeah. And I got to buy my first real airbrush, which, as we were talking about, it eventually got all gunked up and tore up, and I ended up having to trash it, and now I have cheap ones.
Bought a cheap one, and I thought that I was having trouble with it because it was a cheap one. But now, listening to you both, I'm thinking maybe it was just because, they're evil, they're horrible. But
well, it's not necessarily that it wasn't because it was a cheap one, but if you find a good one, you can do some pretty cool. I mean, you can do some pretty cool stuff with a bad one if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not that I'm an expert, but
you can take a bad airbrush, and if you learn how to use the liquid mask and frisk it, doesn't matter. The gun doesn't matter. If you've got good drawing skills, and you are patient with liquid mask and frisk it.
Do not have good drawing skills, not patient at all.
See, the patient is why I don't have more airbrushing work around the house.
Fair enough.
Patience is not me, that's for sure. That's probably why I'm not the artist in the house.
I've come really close to opening up some auto airbrushing shops a couple of times, and then something would fall through at the last minute. But absolutely, the thing I hated the most about it was all the tedious prep work, like all the sanding and cleaning and stuff. Oh my God, I hated that part.
That's why, as an artist, if you want to make money doing that, what you do is you hook up with a shop who they handle all that, and they charge the premium for that, and then you come in, do the artwork, walk away, they clear coat it, and finish it.
See, that's what I was trying to do, and every time something happened, and which is probably for the best, because honestly, I don't think my ego could have handled it at the time. I don't think it would have been healthy for me. I need to get knocked down a few pegs before I got anywhere. It was just better for me personally, but it worked out in the end. And now I get to do the thing that I always wanted to do with my life, which is spend all day drawing comic books and getting paid for it. So
isn't it nice when you get to do that?
It's freaking amazing. And I don't care if they're books that, 150 people are going to read. That's cool with me, man. I'm living my dream. I'm keeping my kids housed and fed and a roof over their heads. I'm paying my mortgage, drawing guys in their underwear beating each other up. I'm paying my mortgage this month drawing a freaking giant squid made out of hatchback sedans. It's freaking nuts. And the main character is a freaking golden retriever. It is the craziest thing I've ever done. 16-year-old me would have ran away if they said a dog was one of the main characters. And this time I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to be hard. Let's do it. And it's nuts. And I freaking love it.
Now, because I want to know about the squid made of cars.
Oh, it's like the hatchbacking. It's freaking, it's so freaking hilarious. And oh my God. And I've made it serious and stupid at the same time. It's such a funny book, and but it's serious at the same time, and it's sad and it's emotional, but it's also kind of goofy, and it's absolutely amazing. It's a new creator that's doing cool stuff. I really like his other work, and now he's reached out and hired me to illustrate this book for him. And it's called Yellow Bellied. It'll be coming out sometime in the future. But essentially, the city's hero, like Shazam, gets killed, and the magic gem that turns the kid into the superhero falls into the hands of this fat 30-year-old loser. And when he picks it up in an emergency because they're fixing to get killed by space pirates and hatchbackins and stuff, he picks it up, it transforms him into a kid version of himself, like a pudgy little 13-year-old with acne with superpowers. And it's working off his wasted potential instead of a kid's normal potential. And it's so brilliant and crazy and sad and wild, and I just love it. It's so much fun.
Sounds like an inverse Shazam.
Yeah, I mean, it's like turning it all on its head and doing it all weird and different. And oh my God, it's been so much fun.
It's really great. I'm gonna have to get that one.
Oh yeah,
right. The list is getting longer.
At least you got a while. You can recuperate. You can pay off some credit cards a little bit before it comes out.
I've got to pay other artists is the problem. I've still got to pay for people to do work while I'm buying everybody else's work. That's the problem. That's why they say that dealers aren't supposed to be into the drugs in the comic industry. That's
it would be so much easier if I didn't like comics.
The product. Exactly.
If you didn't like comics, though, could you make good ones?
No.
I just don't think you could if you didn't like
Trust me, there's lots of people out there that don't really like comics making comics, and they're not good.
You can tell, can't you? Like, I feel like I can tell if the person that made it is not into the comic.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or they were like, oh, this is popular. Let's do that thing real quick. And, or to be honest, against myself, I'm saying this. Or like, yeah, the sexy covers are selling. Let's try that. I tried a sexy cover on one of my books just to see if it would work. And I sold 2 copies. One was to the guy that buys everything, and the other one was my wife. And that's it. It just didn't work for me, but that's not what I normally do. And, that's not what I'm known for. And it probably just came off as weird coming from me.
That's always a risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. Oh, I was
try
gonna say,
them, right?
y'all's conversations made me think of something. Being into comics, what was that title when you were younger that you picked up that sent you down this path to be obsessed with comics?
Oh man,
easy. 1978 Denny O'Neil Batman and Detective Comics, drawn by Neil Adams.
Oh well, yeah, that was just like game-changingly different. The way he drew him and stuff, like those are still some of my favorite comics from childhood that I think back to were ones that he drew, and I didn't even know it at the time. I just knew they looked awesome. I didn't even really realize. I didn't even think to learn artists' names at that point. And then when he started continuity comics, I was lost, man. That was all I was going to do with my life.
When I was about 4, maybe 5 years old, I was reading very early, and I tell this story, and sometimes people don't believe it, but it's funny to me, and it's true and kind of weird. I grew up in southeast Kentucky on a tobacco and dairy farm. I was milking cows like at 4 a.m. when I was 4 and 5 years old. And in the barn, we didn't where I lived, we didn't have indoor plumbing until I was 11. And in the barn, somebody would just throw away comic books. And so there's this stack of torn up comic books that just sat on a stool over in the corner of the barn collecting dust and dirty and all this. So I'd be sitting there. I was about to demonstrate, but you guys can't see me. It's funny. I'd be sitting there with a cow's teat in my hand, squeezing that crap, and a comic book that I'd pulled out of the stack open on my knee. And sitting there, it was like, because milking cows, honestly, is boring as hell. So I'm reading some Batman. I got Batman on my knee and a teat in my hand, and I'm just going to town on it.
As you do.
Just going to town on it.
That's how I read Batman.
So
with the teat in your hand.
But I realized very quickly, it's like always the coolest image in the books was the splash page. That was the one big full piece of artwork. Splash pages always had the credits. And I remember reading the credits, and a bell went off. It was like, oh, people made this.
Mm-hmm.
And so when other little kids, when I'd be playing with like other little kids from other farms around the area and stuff, and we'd get together or whatever, and they're like, I'm Batman, I'm Superman, I'm the Hulk, I'm Spider-Man. I'd be like, I'm Neil Adams. And they're like, what? I'll be like, I'm Jack Kirby. And they're like, who's that? Like, I made you.
I made you.
And that was the beginning of everything for me. Was comic books in a stack in the corner of an old musty barn. And, I ended up I left Eastern Kentucky at 19 and moved to New York. And it took me about a year of backbreaking labor to get my first comic book job. I got it, turned that into a couple of years in the 90s, which sucked because the 90s sucked for comics. They were great for all kinds of stuff except comics. And, turned that into doing storyboards for ad agencies, and then turned that into 3D modeling and animation, which became my main breadwinner for 25 years. And, came back to comics just a few years ago, but I'm old. I'm old. Okay. So, it's like I start talking. I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing the old guy thing. I need to shut up and draw.
See, that's the thing. That's why I like him so much, because our lives parallel so much in so many ways, and the differences are still kind of so similar. Like, I went to college for 3D graphic design and 3D animation, and Like, man, I was shooting for every job that came out. They didn't tell me in school, and they were telling me how awesome I was, that there's going to be 5,000 people applying for every job at every video game company, and you got to stand out in a sea of garbage. So it doesn't really matter how good you are. It matters how good, like, your demo video was, your cassette tape at the time, your VHS tape. And they didn't teach me to do that. My ADD had a bunch of started pieces and nothing finished. And now that's like
everything depended on that damn demo reel back then.
Oh yeah. And now like we are like 80 generations of software from that, and they don't even make the stuff I learned on anymore. And now I'm paying people to do 3D designs for me that I know I could do myself. I just don't have like 6 months to sit down and learn a new piece of software. And I got pages to do so I can, keep all these fancy roofs over everybody's head.
I'm happy to have transitioned out of 3D finally to comics full time again, because comics are my first love. And
oh yeah,
I just, the 3D stuff. After a while, I'm like, I'm tired of this, because when you're an artist in the 3D space, you're not usually telling stories. I mean, you might be contributing to somebody's thing, but you're not doing it.
No, there's entire teams, each doing their little piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really don't like the factory work nature of it. Never have liked that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had I've had the good fortune to end up doing a lot of cool gigs, cool jobs through the years. And I really, though, all of that came about because of comic books. Like getting, I went to a really weird high school where they allowed me to have 3 of my 4 years of high school as an independent study in art. And I spent 5 of my 7 hours a day at school in the art department with a teacher who, like, right off the bat was like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Well, I want to draw comic books." "Okay, let's figure out how you do that." And then that became 3 years of high school.
That is rare in itself, because most art teachers would have tried to talk you out of that so quick.
Oh yeah. Now this lady, her name is Carol Osborne. I love this woman as if she were my own mother. I recently did a signing appearance at the library in my old hometown, and she was there, and it was just, that was magical. I mean, she's like 80 some years old, and her husband was the technology teacher in my school. So like I had her all day for that stuff, and then sometimes I would have him, and it was through him that I taught myself DOS. And like my first 3D models were built in DOS. Like,
oh, dude.
So that's where my 3D stuff all started with. And I'm just like, you know what? It's really kind of funny sometimes to be able to look back on it and go, hey, yeah, I definitely came from podunk, middle of nowhere, Eastern Kentucky, but a ding, 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 ding. And, the places I've gotten to go with it, like I worked with Brian Haberlin creating the first augmented reality app for comics back in 2014. And before that, I wrote the specs for the first automated lip sync program. So I was on the tech side of this stuff, just eyeballs deep in it for a long time. And it's so nice to not be in that side of it anymore.
Y'all's stories are very different than mine, but I do appreciate, I feel very young because the 90s era was where I got into comics as a kid. The terrible decade that ruined the industry. It feels like it wouldn't ruin the industry, but it definitely set it back some.
On a business level, I think it set it back a lot. Personally, I know a lot of people, it's been vogue for a long time to rag on 90s artwork, but I'm like, man,
it was a product of its time.
It was the birth of the McFarlane, Turner, Campbell, Silvestri era, right? So I think it's got its benefits on the art side.
You know,
Fish's artwork is up on the in the big screen right now, and opening bid is $65. If anybody is interested in this really cool piece with a really cool story that Mog was a part of.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
And if anybody's interested, the new issue of Alice Lost in Wonderland goes live May 6th at GoMrFish.com. You can go check it out now.
Talk about that soon. We're gonna because I wanna hear about it for my own purposes because I absolutely have personal motivations for doing this show. It's not just because I want to help Mog and Mel. And Les's piece here is still available. Opening bid's $100. Look at that. Looking gorgeous.
You know it's going to be amazing. Y'all need to get in on now.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. Like, yeah, see, I some of the stories that you're telling, Les, makes me think maybe we have met before. But
we might have. I've done a lot of conventions through the years.
Yeah, what makes me, because like we would have probably had a bonding moment over milking cows, although I never had to do it by hand.
My God, I remember when we got our first automated milker. It was just like a light shone down from heaven. I was like, "You mean I don't have to touch the big teats anymore?" No, you don't. Just to put the little thing on.
You have to wash them first. So
yeah, you gotta wash them, and then you gotta put the thing on. But I don't have to sit there. I don't have to sit there worried that this cow is gonna like pick up a foot, step on me.
Remember, kids, to wash your teats. That's what Les says.
Oh yeah.
I remember when we got a new setup that had the little beepers on them to tell you when the cow was done. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, because it was so cool because you had to like pay attention and watch. And then you suddenly didn't have to, because once the flow got diminished enough, that would set off the beeper. It was super cool. And you didn't have to push. There were 2 plugs that you had to put into 2 separate pipes. And then this new system set it up into like one kind of gun-shaped thing that you just punched into one plug. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So anyway, if anybody wants to bid on Fish's or Les's art, or both, you can bid on both. I don't care. Anyway, put your bid in the comments, and we'll grab it. So do that. And so Iggy, you were starting to talk about your 90s comics experience, and I wanted to hear the story, but I did have to stop for a second to talk about the art.
No worries. You're doing your job as a host. Great job. And I was just more so saying, yeah, the 90s era is what brought me in. I agree. It definitely changed the game. Batman, I think, was my first exposure as well. But what really changed that was Michael Turner's Witchblade was weirdly the one that set me off. And not so much that it was Witchblade, which Michael Turner to this day is still one of my favorite artists of all time. Just beautiful art and could tell a story along with it. But what it did was took me into a world out of the superheroes, which made me realize, these are the comics. And even some of the other superheroes that I never got to. I think Alan Moore became one of my favorite writers across the 90s. I mean, being 12 years old and reading comics that were definitely not intended for my age, right? It was,
maybe batshit crazy, but he
right. Yes, he is a self-proclaimed shaman and magician, but he's also a great writer.
Do you know he carried on a supposed shaman battle or a magician's war for like decades with Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's just as kooky, and I love it.
The kookier, the more creative they are, the better the stories too, though, right?
Comics are the perfect place for the weirdos like that.
Yeah, Alan Moore, I think, is what took me to that next level on the writing side. And so that was where I just was like, I think Watchmen was just like, this is like, it just blew my mind at a level that I couldn't. Nothing. The only thing that has blown my mind to that level since is Brian K. Vaughan's Saga. Like, Saga is at a whole nother level as well. But it was incredible.
I have had numerous people try to get me to read that. And for some reason, it has not grabbed me.
There is Saga is one of those things that I can't speak of it enough. It's I love reading all kinds of stuff, the superhero, the indie stuff, the different, but yeah, Saga's the first thing that's given me that like childlike excitement for that comic series again.
Now, the stuff that I find myself going back to, and maybe this is just because I'm old and I'm just wanting this stuff again.
It is.
Fine. I'm good. I've made my peace with that a long time ago. When I was a kid, I was reading Batman in the barn and all that kind of stuff. But then I found in a Foot Locker that my stepbrother had. I found old, eerie, and creepy. And that introduced me probably around 6 or 7 years old to Bernie Wrightson. And all bets were off from there forward. I mean, that's my holy trinity of comic artists. It's like Kirby, Wrightson, Adams. Kirby, Wrightson, Adams. There you go. The father, the son. It's like Jack's the father, Neil's the son, and Bernie's the Holy Ghost, man. I absolutely worship these guys so much, and all those horror comics, man. Actually before I picked up on Bernie, there was an artist named Esteban Maroto, who you would see doing stuff in heavy metal. And you would see him in Vampirella. Just anyone. I'm always evangelizing Esteban Maroto to people. I'm like, just go look him up. Just look him up. You'd be glad you did. Long before my boy Joe Quesada was introducing Alphonse Mucha back to the comic people, Esteban Maroto was on the Art Nouveau stuff.
Heavy metal was my jam back then, because like you said, it wasn't superheroes. It was different kinds of stories that were doing different things and different sensibilities and stuff and different tropes from different nations. And, I just fell in love with it. And that's what made me fall in love with the whole anthology thing, because while I might not care about, this one story about life in a prison in France, there would be something in the book that I was absolutely going to love. There's always something. And that's the thing that I love about anthologies. Like, you can get weird, you can do crazy stuff, and, there's going to be something in it you're going to enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Did anybody back the heavy metal Kickstarter?
I actually did back the #1, The Return. And crazy enough, both of my kids' birth months were available in the back issues. Cool. So I did those as an add-on, and then we were helping at a convention a month ago, and the guy next to me just had a box of old heavy metals that some guy sold him. And it had my birth month issue and my wife's birth month issue. So I was like, this was all meant to be. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
That is so cool.
It's a weird thing.
I regularly find, like, in flea market out here in Kentucky, flea markets where people have all this stuff and they really don't know what they're sitting on, man.
Right.
You can find some wild shit. Like, I had a guy who, and this is some years ago, and I didn't have the money at the time or I would have bought it, who had like something like 100 issues of Eerie. I'm like, and I saw it, and I couldn't. I was like, well, my deal making's out the window because I'm entirely too excited at this. And he's like, yeah, I'll take $200 for it. And I was just, God, I was like, it's like, I have 2 kids. Can I sell one of them?
How much will you give me for the kid?
I heard you could sell a kidney.
This one's just sitting around all day.
Yeah, go for the kidney. You've got 2. You don't need them both. Did you? Okay, I wanted to make sure everybody was aware that the real host of the show is here
right
now. This is why Mog and Mel actually asked me to come.
So the cat shows up.
Non-zero chance of cat. This is Ick.
I'm actually surprised I haven't had a cameo, to be honest. Usually once this camera gets moving, Our cat's a ham as well.
Yeah, and it's I mean, because nobody pays attention to what we're saying when a cat shows up.
Right.
No.
Or like in Katie, Fish and I know Katie. Fish and Katie will be on a show with us.
Her dog's all like,
and then like this huge dog foot will just slowly start pushing her face out of the frame.
And she's from the UK, so it's always like 3 a.m. over there when she's on a stream with us.
Yeah.
And the dog's like, come on, it's time to go to bed. Turn off the light. I've been nice long enough.
Katie's actually going to be on my show with me in a couple of weeks. And I am very much looking forward to the dog foot cameo. It's usually just the foot or like, ew. Okay, it's shedding season, and there's just a cloud of hair all around me right now. But yeah, so like it's usually just the dog's feet showing up, or like sometimes the whole dog will he'll just come and like flop on her, and so we'll just see body parts, but never the whole dog because he's too big. But yeah, she does stay up like all night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she does. For that. What's your show, Sarah?
My show is called Critical Affection, and it's over on Agents of Geekdom. We talk about movies or TV shows or comics, or I have never done any music albums, but not opposed to music. Just any kind of pop culture something that's worth talking about and that deserves discourse. There's so much.
So much. I'm down for it. I am a pop culture whore. I'm not even gonna pretend
awesome.
I'm not.
You are always welcome. And,
we have
this week we're talking about Chernobyl, the TV show, which that and another thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago spawned a whole nother idea for a show that we're working on now. That my friend Brian was doing just guest co-hosting for me because I couldn't keep asking Fish to just be on my show all the time.
You could have.
He's a busy guy. But yeah, Brian wanted to come on the show too, so there was that. And then now he's just kind of always there, and so I was like, all right, you need an upgrade from sometimes guest host to just being the full-on co-host. And now we're working on a whole nother show together where because he's a engineer and he's got so much like I've known this guy for over 10 years now, and I don't even think that I have scratched the surface of the experience that he's got. Like he's got experience in actual nuclear facilities, which means that he can actually talk with some knowledge about Chernobyl when we talk about it. Like he knows about nuclear stuff. And I was like, what exactly am I bringing to the table on this show? If you're the one with all the scientific knowledge.
You got the cat.
Cats and sex appeal, baby. That's all you need. Cats and sex appeal. That's how I got where I am.
That's what the next show that we're talking about making here is taking pop culture stuff like anything on Interstellar, for example, or like the warp drive on Star Trek, or the laser guns in Star Wars, like the Death Star in Star Wars.
Like the science behind it.
Yeah, and talking about why it would or would not be possible in the world that exists right now. So it's probably not going to be a live show, but it'll still be fun. And I'm like, Brian, what am I bringing to the table here? Like, I don't know anything about this.
What does the comedian sitting next to Neil deGrasse Tyson in all the videos bring? He brings funny questions and not knowing the answers and somebody to explain it to. Like, that's an important role.
And you bring two kidneys. Two kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of what Brian said, too. He's like, well, I don't have the pop culture knowledge that you have, and so you have to talk about what's going on in the show before I can explain the science of it. And I was like, all right, fair enough. And
well,
I'm producing it.
Well, I was going to say, we have a bunch of podcasts on Project Nerd, and have realized, too, it's like the one-man shows aren't there anyways. You need, even if you feel like you're not bringing as much, it's the dynamic of multiple voices speaking in it. And we've done a number of shows over the years, and like I said, love the pop culture stuff. A lot of what we do is even beyond comics. Comics has been a childhood dream of mine. So I use the Project Nerd name to start publishing. We do comic convention support. So we actually get to do a lot of the floor management and moderating the panels and stuff like that. But podcast network.
He is biting my cable and he's going to chew my credit card.
My kidding.
He gets to go.
But we even do film production and stuff like that too. So we get to kind of dabble in everything. And that's why I say I'm a pop culture whore. I'm just a creator whore is what I really am. I just want to create and be surrounded by other people that like to create.
I think that maybe that's not accurate because I have to assume if you're in comics, you're not getting paid, which would make you a slut, not a whore.
Oh, fair enough. That's true. I do maintain a career because I am not making enough money off of any of this. That is very fair.
Oh, that's the problem.
So if you were a whore, you would be making money at this. You're keeping your amateur status so that you can slut your way in comics in the Olympics.
I stand corrected.
So what is so you said you have a lot, and you just said a lot of podcasts. So like how many, like, and what are some of your most popular ones? Let's just go with most popular.
The ones airing right now currently, we do have the Kurt O'Holler seasons, which is like an old-fashioned like horror radio play, like horror comedy radio play is what they do, the two of them. We have Two Guys, One Film, which honestly, it's just a movie critique for an hour. But the fun part is we make intros and like little teaser commercials for them to where I was a floating head in front of a green screen for a while. So that's coming back too for their final season. And then we just have our standard pop culture ones that we talk with friends that I've had for years. We've been very slow this past year with some of them. Got to get moving again. One of the ones we're kicking off soon, though, is going to be called Horror Not Horror. So kind of similar to where you're talking about breaking down the science of movies. We were having conversations. We realized this is not a horror movie, but if this was in real life, it would be absolutely frightening, this scenario. So this is a horror movie that's not technically horror, so kind of break those down one by one. On the film side, we just Anchor Bay just released My Dinner with Leatherface. So we helped produce that film and helped with interviews that include people like Bruce Campbell, Felissa Rose, and all them. So you can pick that up through Anchor Bay right now. It's a cool documentary that follows Gunner, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface. A really nice guy before he passed away. A friend of ours got some content with him and was good friends with him. And when he passed, he's like, let's make a documentary about this. So that's pretty neat to get out there as well.
That's awesome.
Cool. Oh, Acres of Movies says, what are your favorite depictions of a celebratory ball in a comic book? That is a very specific scene.
Celebratory ball.
Like
celebration.
Ball? Did I say that right? Celebratory.
I might have said it wrong. I didn't mean to.
A party in a comic
Okay,
book.
that makes more sense because I was thinking something completely different. I was thinking like Brad Pitt's OnlyFans or something. Like I totally misheard.
Man, a celebration in a comic. Yeah, I feel like Acres of Movies. Where did that's got to have come from somewhere? So what is theirs? Like you don't ask that question without having one.
Yeah, tell us what yours are while we try.
Right?
I actually do have an answer for this.
But
yeah, Acres of Movies. Tell us what yours is because we want to know too. But mine is actually, I'm biased, and Fish is gonna know what I'm talking about probably. But there is a comic book that was made by Unlikely Hero Studios and drawn by Zach Dolan, and it was called Super. It is called Super. I mean, it still exists. It's not being produced anymore, but it still exists. But
one of my favorite books of all time.
It's a very good superhero. Well, bumbling superhero comic. They're not very good at their jobs. They're superheroes, but they're not very good at their jobs. And anyway, they go to hell or something hell-like. It's been a while since I've read it, to be fair. Anyway, huge ball being thrown by the guy who's like the Satan type, and every character from every Beetlejuice is there, the Addams family's there, Leatherface was there, like all of the pop culture references. Like obviously they're not named in the book because you can't do that, but yeah, like they're all there, and it's and the story behind it is really fun too. And I don't want to spoil it for you in case you want to ever read it, But yeah, let's just say it's the hijinks ensue, and that is definitely my favorite depiction of a party, of a big fancy party.
That is hands down a book that needs to be read.
Can I cheat and say a movie? Was it the observatory reveal scene in Batman and Robin? Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. It was like George Clooney shows up with it. Doesn't he have like the bat card in it, like the credit card? Oh my god, it's the worst.
Oh my god.
I don't knock those movies that much. I understand that they are crap, but I love them anyway. And like obviously Batman and Batman Returns were great. And
those two. Oh, my kids watch those things so many times. I couldn't sit through like the original Batman anymore because my attention span's just too short for modern movies. The original one's just so slow to me now. I watched it 1,000 times in the theater and I can't watch it now.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can't think of a comic scene that has a big.
Well, Acres of Movies responded and said, I like those kinds of scenes. If you were having a celebratory ball, what comedy movie character and any genre movie character would you have as greeters? And what movie creatures would you have an exhibit? Okay, now you're getting too specific for me.
Oh, man.
So what? So if you were drawing it, what movie character would you have as the greeters?
Oh, man. What's his name in Young Frankenstein? Igor? I'd have him.
Yes.
The whole walk this way. Like, that would absolutely 100% be my greeter.
My greeter would have to be Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
What about Michael Peña's character from Ant-Man?
They'd never get to the party.
He would be like the commentator. I would have him on the news outside, like doing interviews. He's like, okay, so like, see, she came up to me, right? And like, she was all like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh, looking at her, she was like, oh man, he's fly. But like, that would be so funny. Dude.
While we're talking here, we got Les's piece up. $100 if you guys want to bid on it. Put your bid in the comments and look at it. It's beautiful. But yeah, I agree. He should definitely. I can't remember the character's name, but I definitely agree he should be on the. I would watch the news every damn day if he was doing the news every day. It's so depressing and crap now. Like every time you watch the news, you're just like, oh god, what happened now? But that would make it worth watching without fear. I mean, still fear probably, but you know what I mean, right? Like it'd be easier to watch.
I agree.
Man, I'm still trying to think of my greeters.
There's a party scene in Howard Chaykin's Black Kiss that changed how I thought about comic art how comic art can exist. So that's worth noting.
All right.
Interesting. Yes. I think that my comic history is quite a bit different from all y'all's because I didn't really get into comics until I was an adult. But I was comic movies. Obviously Batman has always been one of my favorite. Keaton Batman has always been one of my favorite movies, and so I've seen those, and I've seen superhero movies, but never comics. I might be unfairly putting this on my mother because I really genuinely don't remember well, but I think my mother thought comics were horrible and evil and wouldn't get them for me. But I might be thinking about something else because she definitely felt that video games were evil. And wouldn't get them for me. She thought they were horrible and they would ruin my brain, and she would not get them for me.
See, the opposite effect here. We mentioned heavy metal earlier. My mom was naive enough to think that any cartoon movie was appropriate for a kid, and that was my exposure to heavy metal.
Lucky dude.
As an accident.
Mom's out there buying you heavy metal. What?
Well, yeah, I rented heavy metal. I rented what was that? Fire and Ice, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, so because there was ones that were still weird that weren't as bad that she would have caught glimpses of, like Forbidden Planet or Wizards. Like those
anything from Ralph Bakshi, man.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, Wizards. That blew my mind.
So it snuck in heavy metal and quite the opposite. I was allowed to collect comics. I think they just thought they were all childish as well. So that's why I was able to get into some of the heavier titles and was reading things out of my time. So I think she eventually picked up on it after a while, but it was probably too late.
My mom did not monitor my library usage at all, so that's why I got away with reading novels that were way out of my age range. I read a lot of Stephen King when I was still under the age of 18.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Honestly,
everybody in junior high and middle school was reading Stephen King books.
And some of them are fine, but some of them are kind of like, man, shouldn't read that until you're like 20.
Gerald's Game.
I mean, oh gosh, some of them are some of I can't even remember. Like, I only remember it was very like that has a lot of themes in it that are a little iffy.
That was great though.
Yeah, excellent book, and Stephen King makes stuff you can read. Like some of the novels that I've read, like they're really hard to read. The story is fantastic, but they're really just hard and dry to read.
Mm-hmm.
I read Pillars of the Earth. Amazing story, very dry read. Frankenstein is another good one that came up earlier with your bride's talk.
Oh yeah.
It's very hard.
It's very
to
interesting.
It's
kind
a
of a
very
tough read
good book,
sometimes.
but it is a very difficult book to read.
See,
the audiobook was really good for me. I can listen to it like while I'm working and absorb it a lot better that way than trying to make it through all the complicated writing.
It's impressive.
Thanks to Stephen King, I got turned on to H.P. Lovecraft when I was a kid, like a little kid.
Yeah.
And immediately picked up the references in Batman to it, and it all came full circle. And then I think probably the writer who was the most influential on me, though, this God damn, how could somebody let a 10-year-old read this? I was when I read Interview with the Vampire.
Oh yeah.
And like and I will remember. It's burned into my memory. Kentucky State Fair, 1984. One of the few times we got out of the hills, went to this. I mean, it was like a 4.5-hour drive. Went to this thing, and there was a big. There was a library selling torn cover books for 10 cents. And I had a little bit of money on me from like mowing yards and working in tobacco. And I came home with a bag. I was like buying my books by the pound.
Mm-hmm.
And in that was Interview with the Vampire, Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned.
Oh, any of the Lestat stories, yeah.
And that was just
good stories, but maybe not appropriate for 10-year-old. Yeah.
No.
Awesome. There's actually those books. Like what I've written with brides is very, very Anne Rice.
And Spot. That's cool.
Good message.
You already sold us. You already sold all three of us.
it is like
you got bills to pay, man. Quit selling.
my goal with brides is if Anne Rice wrote the script to a Hammer film that was getting drawn by Bernie Wrights. That's my goal.
It's the Fry meme. Shut up and take my money, right? Like,
oh, man.
Waro Gore said, I used to rent Faces of Death when I was a kid. No.
Oh, man.
How one's that?
Oh.
That messed me up.
No.
That messed me up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. There's
Clive Barker.
Got a whole bunch of questions.
Oh yeah,
right
Clive,
in a second.
Clive was the shit.
Yeah, Faces. Oh my gosh, Clive Barker in junior high.
Oh man, I loved me some Clive Barker.
Yeah.
Have a Mothra and Mechazilla.
Yeah.
If anybody really loves Clive Barker and a particular movie back in the 80s, you might kind of recognize a little bit of the inspiration for Bellamy, who's covered in razor sharp quills all over her body.
Oh, Shunasasi.
Yeah. She's one of the main characters in the book. And I mean, she's not the same character, but man, that stuck in my head my whole life.
Man, go ahead, dude.
No, I was just saying, it definitely came out in this character of like, and all the characters in the book are essentially me in some version or another. And it's partly like me walking around in a nervous system that's always in pain and always screaming. And so her having these quills that, you know, can hurt anybody around her and are always causing her discomfort and pain, just, it works so well. But I've never been able to get the vision of her with those quills dancing and stuff out of my head, and how beautiful and dangerous.
I remember I was like, I'm not supposed to think this, but I do. I'm like, why is she hot?
I think we all had complicated feelings like that.
Yeah.
Many different, but yeah. Ooh.
On the subject of that movie and Clive Barker related things, one of the things that has been one of the biggest joys for me in my entire career is for about 13 years, I would do contract jobs. I was the lead technical director in animation for a company called Ringa Media out of England. And through that, one of Ringa's owners was Doug Bradley, from the guy who played Pinhead.
Oh, cool.
And I got to be friends with Doug for a very long time. And that, like, just one of the coolest, he's a cool dude. And I have so many amazing memories from that. One in particular, one day my son, when he was about 10 years old, and he had grown up watching horror films and seeing all the crazy shit that Dad made for a living. And he loved Hellraiser. Hellraiser was his favorite movie. And, you know, okay, cool. There you go. And one day I'm talking to Doug on the phone. And my son was outside the door to the studio I had at the time doing something. I had a little foyer. And I was like, hey, Doug, dude, my son, he loves your shit. Like, he loves you. He loves Pinhead. And Doug is like, how old is he? I was like, he's 10. He's like, why are you letting him watch my films? I was like, never mind that, dude. I need a favor.
You parent your own kids, man. I need a favor.
I was like, I need a favor. I was like, if I give my son the phone, will you talk to him as Pinhead? And he's like, all right. So I'm like, hey, Kelly, come in here for a minute. Somebody on the phone for you. And, you know, snot-nosed little 10-year-old comes trotting in. He's like, what? Like, there's somebody on the damn phone for you. Take it, you little turd. And he's like, takes the phone. He's like, hello? And then I hear this voice come booming through the phone. It's like, hello, Killian. And his eyes go real big. And then I hear, greetings from hell, little boy. And then Killian, he goes, is this Doug? And then Doug's like, hello, Killian. How are you today? Your father thought it'd be quite the lark if I popped on the phone and had a chat with you. Because that's how he talks normally. You know, like, not that bad. I'm exaggerating. But he's like the Pinhead voice.
But he doesn't sound like a monster when you talk to him on the phone regularly.
And it was so hilarious. And like, my son talks to him for a few minutes, and then he hands me the phone, and he whispers, he's like, you have the coolest job ever. And it was a couple years after that he started apprenticing under me, and he worked with me until he was 25.
That's awesome.
But that was the moment that did it, was him talking to that one. And then I still have pictures of him sitting on the lap of Sid Haig. So
nice,
because he loved Captain Spaulding, and Sid hung out with him and popped him on his lap and shit, and it was really awesome. It's funny, like, I love comics, and comics are my first love, but pretty much all of the comics I love, even Batman to me is still a horror comic. Like I am a horror nut first and frickin' foremost. So
see, that's my thing. Like you were talking about earlier with the, like, would it be a horror comic in real life? Like, would it be horror? And like, I was playing the Spider-Man game on the PS4 or whatever, and I was like, to everybody else in the city, he's gotta be like the most terrifying horror monster, just slipping in out of nowhere, crawling around on the ceilings, just zapping you with webs and yanking you up in the sky and tying you up into knots. And like he would be absolutely horrifying to anybody who like isn't close enough to hear him be like horn head as he's fighting a rhino. Like I mean,
the vast majority of stuff in comics can very easily be interpreted as horror.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be absolutely terrifying to have somebody like that creeping around. And then that got me thinking just about a whole another storyline. But that's the curse of having a writer's brain, man. Just anything can just kick you down a road of new ideas. I'm like, oh crap, those are books that got to get drawn. I need to stop and go finish the ones I've already started.
All right, we got to take a break real quick. One more break before we're done with the show. But before we do a break,
I gotta get this piece done.
Before we do the break, though, Kyle gave us a joke. What would you call the Fantastic Four if Snoop Dogg joined the team?
What's that?
The high five.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, we'll be right back.
Whoa. Whoa. Did you miss it? Yeah, they can go by pretty fast. Let's slow down the footage.
Welcome. It's time to skim some comics. Miles Morales Spider-Man, I will just tell you that Miles is very important in his role as a vampire. So.
It's fine. If you like Hercules, read it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's fine.
The art is still stunning. There's a panel, little spoiler, there's a panel in this where Chitauri first hits Lion-O, and he is the best "did she really just hit me" face I've ever seen put in a comic book.
Wow, live reviews of new comic books so you can be ready for New Comic Book Day. What is this? Oh, I see. It's Minute to Skim It. Part of the experience.
Did you know that Arthur, King of the Britons, in Monty Python and the Holy Grail was played by a famous Graham? Check out another famous Graham by following our Instagram.
Everybody, and a couple of reminders here. I'm here today because Mog and Mel are at C2E2, and the booth is T12 in the Artist Alley. Go check it out. You might get a free sketch. Mel might be there. Stuff could happen. You don't know. We don't know. Only they
win $1 million.
They don't even know. I mean, maybe. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Then you can come back here and be notified to come back here so that you can watch more cool shows. I know Kicking It with Henri is on Tuesdays, and the original art show is on Fridays, and there's a bunch of other shows that I don't remember because I'm just a guest host. I'm not here all the time, but there's a bunch of good shows. And then also don't forget to visit the Wix store, which there's a link somewhere, and we'll get it for you. But you can get Mog's art, not Mel's art. Maybe Mel should sell some cookies or something on the Wix.
Probably do a really crappy sketch and probably make some good money on it, once or twice. I'll bet you money people would pay for it. With Stevie B's collection of art, I bet you he would pay a good penny for a Mel original just to be able to say you had it.
Hey, we'll have to pass that on to him because, yeah. Why not, right?
I'm saying don't leave money on the table, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yes, perfect. Kyle saying tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, Aubrey Sitterson will be joining us on Order Up, the FOC show. Is that a new one, or am I just not here at 1 p.m. because I only watch live streams in the evenings, so maybe I'm just missing it. I subscribe to the EXP, I swear I do. I'm in there.
She doesn't get up before the crack of 3 p.m.
Apparently.
No, I'm not. So I'm awake by 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I'm awake in the mornings. I'm just not.
Don't make me spit tea on my computer. Come on now, Sarah.
Okay, he says it's been around since December, so it is fairly new. I'm not that crazy. I'm a little crazy, but not that crazy.
A little crazy, just not 100%.
All right, so yeah, Les's picture, Les's drawing here. We were just looking at there, $100, no bids yet. So if y'all are interested, get it. And then now what you're looking
y'all
at,
making me feel unloved tonight.
Actual functional comic book has pictures in it and everything.
Nobody has.
We got an 8-foot horny toad in here. We got
beer is awesome.
Porcupine women. We got goat fella gets his horns cut off in the middle by an angle grinder. Got all kinds of cool stuff in this book, man. It's got pages, staples, words, everything. Got a giant lizard man shooting blood out of his eyes. What more could you want out of your funny books?
Do what's on the pages even matter if they've got staples?
Oh man, if you got staples nowadays, these are actual real steel staples right here. You'll be able to sell these on the internet for $100 a piece pretty soon.
Well, I got a question, Mr. Fish, on this comic. Could I read it while milking a cow?
You absolutely could.
Okay.
It's been tested. It's been proven to be cow milking appropriate, especially since now you'd probably be in an office with your feet kicked up while the robots did all the hard work. So yeah, you could absolutely do it.
Mr. Nope.
All right, Mr. Nope, let's go.
So yeah.
Good bid, man.
I have no money.
Yep.
I've been looking at that going, if nobody else bids on it, I'm going to do that. But I don't have $100.
I know. I've been holding my money for the Kickstarters.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here going, I've got so much I want to spend money on, and I've got so absolutely $0 right now.
That's 100% where my discretionary income goes is to Kickstarters. That's the only books I read because they're more interesting to me. They're doing unusual, weird things.
Right? Yeah, indie comics all the way, man.
100%, all day long.
You can sympathize or empathize with me on this one. Like I all my discretionary income some of it goes to Kickstarters to support indie comics, but a lot of it goes to getting commissions for pretty cheesecakey covers and covers, man. Oh, I always used to be very anti-variant covers, and now I'm just like, I would like 100 covers for my book.
Variant covers are in right now. Yeah. Virgin covers are hot again. Yeah,
I still hate them as just as a rule, but like they do so good on the Kickstarters that you're it's foolish not to. Like we hated them when it felt like a bait and switch in the 90s, and like they give you a really awesome Jim Lee cover and you open it up and like the first splash page was drawn in ink by Jim Lee, and then the next 2 pages were penciled by him, and then the rest of the book was drawn by some nobody'd ever heard of. And I would be so mad when I got that book home and started tearing through it to realize that I got the bait and switch. But now, like, we're going into it knowing that these are variant covers from other artists and stuff. Like, it's like nobody's. If I got a cover from Les, nobody's going to be confused and think, "Well, did Les draw the inside of Green Zone?" No, I did the insides. But
you won't get a variant cover from another artist on though. Is Alice Lost in Wonderland, and we need to take a few minutes to talk about that because we're almost out of time, and I want to know about issue 2. It's coming up soon. You said May 6th, you said?
Man, this story has been so much fun. It's been so exciting. Like Sarah knows, for those of you who don't know, it's a story that I've been working on for 30 years. And it was my first original story idea I had that wasn't just a knockoff of something else or, like my version of Batman or something. And it was following essentially it was following this character, this time traveler with this sword that could cut through reality and time and go wherever he wanted to go, and no rules. Like, what would you do with that kind of power? And and it was really just a power fantasy at the time. And he's this barbarian dude that goes throughout time and had sci-fi adventures and Wild West adventures and fought aliens and demons and all kinds of stuff. But as time went on over the decades, and I grew up and got older and matured and went through new phases of life, like it started to become a more complex character and more about like who you used to be and who you are now. And then I became a dad, so he ended up adopting a little girl, and he wasn't a very good dad because I had a lot of people around me that I saw become dads way too early, and they were more like buddies that would pick you up for a good time on the weekend and then disappear for weeks or months at a time. And so I kind of put some of that in there. And then she grows up to kind of hate him in her teenage years and becomes like one of his main villains. And it was really cool, really interesting, lots of complex, timey-wimey stuff because I love all that. And then I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were asking me, how do you come up with story ideas? And I was like, you just take anything, like take fairy tales and put them in a new setting, like, sci-fi or something, gender swap the characters, like do the same story in a different setting or something means something different here. Like what if Alice in Wonderland was an interdimensional rift between worlds and all those weird characters are aliens and she's like a wandering Ronin in this interdimensional rift. I just threw it out there, and that story got stuck in my head and I couldn't get rid of it. And at one point on a drive to a con, I was torn over, did I want to start on my time traveler story next or the Alice story? I realized if I carefully cut his daughter out and put Alice in that spot, and then I turned the story and told it from her perspective, then I get the benefit of I get to put a sexy woman on the cover, which, supposedly supposed to help. I get to make essentially kind of a bad guy, my main character, sort of, and I've always wanted to do that. That's always been something I loved. And I get to jump right into the trauma part of the story and why she hates him and stuff, rather than, have to build up, his love for her and then she turns bad later. I could just jump right into the bad part, which was fun too. And when I brought in Alice, I was like, if it's this interdimensional rift, I can bring in all the other public domain characters. So she's got Big Ten, the Tin Man, by her side, going on all these adventures with her. And then I could tie in other ideas, like the sword that cuts through reality is now the Vorpal sword. And Rabbit, the character that used to be the Traveler, is now the White Rabbit because he has white hair and he's always disappearing through holes in reality. And he has the whole sword. Somehow Alice, when she's grown, has the broken hilt of the sword. And how did she get that? Why is it broken? We're going to find that stuff out as the story unfolds. And in the first issue, Cheshire is an interdimensional ghost cat. There's all kinds of cool stuff in it. Everything's getting mashed up together, and it's fun and exciting. And she gets bound to this magical contract, and she has to hunt down the White Rabbit, the guy who saved her life and brought her to Wonderland and raised her, and now she kind of hates him and has been trying to kill him for years. And now she's magically bound to have to get him, deliver his head to the Red Queen, who has promised to cut her head off if her or Big Ten ever showed up back in their city. And so now she has to deliver him and hope she doesn't die in the process. And it's crazy. It's exciting. There's time traveling and portal cutting, and there's all kinds of cool stuff, and there's aliens, and there's monsters, and there's everything that we've ever imagined gets to all get put together. There's freaking sky pirates. There's it's so juicy. And in the next issue, like, one thing I can't give away is she travels to Neverland, which is originally was a planet I had devised in my old story, and now it's just another part of this world. And all the names we have for these places like Oz or Neverland are just other names for the same rift. And in this point, it's the Poison Skies, and it's just nothing but pollution, and you have to ride in these airships above it so you can never land. There's no land on, so it's called Neverland. and people don't live very long here, so it's populated by a lot of kids on their own little flying vessels. And if you survive long enough, you end up becoming a pirate that takes over and, you know, is trying to rule what's left before you die of, like, you know, poisoning and stuff from the skies and the sun. And
I need to interrupt you for just a second. You got just a couple more minutes to bid. And Fish's art's right there. Well, it's kind of underneath the paper there, but that's $65 if you want it. Looks great and has a wonderful story that Mog got to be a part of, and Fish will happily tell you that story again. We don't have enough time to tell the story now, but you can go back to the beginning of the show and listen to him talk about it, or you can ask him in private after you buy his piece of art here.
You can always message me because I got nothing but time, apparently.
And then here's Les's piece. So we got a high bid right now from Mr. Nope, I believe, of $100. So if you want that, you got to bid higher than $100. And you got just a couple more minutes. And since I have already so rudely interrupted Mr. Fish, I'm going to take a minute now to tell you guys that next week, Mel and Mog are going to be back from C2E2, so they're going to have lots of stuff to tell you. So if you are there this weekend, though, definitely go stop and see them. Again, it's Table T12 in the Artist Alley, so definitely go check it out. I've heard that there will be giveaways, of free art giveaways, and you know, maybe Mel brought some cookies. We don't know. If you are coming back or for this show for next week, Carissa Grant's going to be here. Carissa Grant, everybody's favorite.
I love
queen,
Carissa.
the plushy queen, right? Right?
There's a book of hers coming up that I did a cover for.
Oh,
awesome.
Shoot, Worthy Chaos Redemption, right? Like that's what her stories are generally.
Yeah.
That story or the spin-offs of that story, but I believe the supernatural western one is the one that she's going to be talking about next week. And then you can ask Mog and Mel questions about C2E2. And then and Todd Rayner's going to be there drawing live. And then let's see. Oh, Jen Leonard is going to be here too. And then I'm looking at my notes here, sorry. And then the week after that, I'm coming back to bother you guys again. And so is Mr. Fish and Les, from what I understand from my notes. And then also Aaron Wroblewski's coming, which I think I said his name right. Like, I've butchered it so many times, he doesn't even care anymore that I've killed his name. Like, I have destroyed his name, and he doesn't even care. Probably because he's used to it, right? Like, I just call him Aaron W. Aaron W.
Man, my name's 4 letters long, and people mess it up. So,
that's
like,
fair.
it happens.
My name is Sarah White. Literally 10 whole letters, right? People still screw it up. It's a thing. I mean, Fish, at least, like, people are like, is Fish a nickname? Like, that's plausible, but there's no reason to screw up white. It's a color. It's a color that you learned when you were in kindergarten, people.
Oh, my God. That's one thing I like about being on these podcasts, because I can actually, like, write my name out. But in person, it is always, there's, like, a freaking script everybody has that I never got to see. And it's like, Fish, how do you spell that? And I'm like, I spell it the same way you do, F-I-S-H. And then invariably, for being time, it's like, well, how do you pronounce that? I'm like, dude, we literally both just said my name. And it doesn't seem weird to me, but, you know, I never hear anybody go up to Bob and say, no, I'm sorry, I can't call you Bob. That's stupid. Was your mother a crack whore or something? No, I can't say that. I feel stupid. I'm going to call you Bobbert so I don't feel like an idiot. Like, no, nobody would do that to Bill or Jack or anybody else. But Fisher, oh, no, screw it. We ain't calling him Fish. No, I might have a chip on my shoulder. I apologize.
Garner. Okay, Les Garner. I get 2 S's all the time. I'm like, no, incorrect. Or I'll get wise asses who are like, is that short for Lester? Why, no, it is not, asshole. And Garner. Everybody sticks a damn D in that thing and turns it into Gardner.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Garner, like James Garner, like the old Western
James
guy.
Garner was my father's 3rd cousin.
There you go. You are.
Yeah.
That's
so yeah, it's a lot like that, sir.
Yeah.
It's just
actually,
very similar.
Names
James
are
and
stupid
Jennifer
and made
Garner.
up anyway. All y'all names are dumb and they're made up. We made them up.
They're all just a collection of weird sounds somebody made.
They are. It's so silly. You guys got a couple more minutes to bid, and yeah, again, you Mog and Mel are gonna be back next week, and then I'm coming back the week after that. So you get more of this general situation here.
I'm happy I got it done. That was.
It looks amazing.
Go check out Iggy's book. Go give it a back right now. I'm going to go do that after the show, and go sign up for the pre-launch for. Go sign up for Les's pre-launch because he feels inadequate with just like 200 something people on the pre-launch page.
Right.
And then if you go pat his ego, you can go be backer number 28 or whatever on mine. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even have 200 backers, let alone 200 pre-watchers.
All right, everybody, so Iggy's and Les's and Mr. Fish's their campaigns are all in the comments there. I mean, go MrFish.com is pretty easy, but you can also easily find these things by just using the Kickstarter search function. It's actually pretty good.
I will say we have an all, because we have 7 covers, and you can get all 7 covers. I did a 40% off for only 3 people, and one of the guys canceled the pledge. So right now for $85, you get all 7 covers of Eru.
Oh, wow.
One spot open.
That's
one
amazing,
spot
yeah.
open because somebody backed out. I hate those little red indicators in the back in the dashboard of Kickstarter.
Right, yeah. And that's, I understand it, but that doesn't make it less devastating for us, does it?
Right.
Who's getting my girl here? Somebody bid on it.
Mr. Nope did. Yeah, Mr. Nope got it. Or unless somebody
Nope.
bids in like 2
KNOP.
Yeah, KNOPE.
Like Leslie Nope.
Leslie Nope.
Yeah.
Is Les short for Leslie? Did you get that a lot?
Actually, yeah, it is.
There you go. I was gonna guess because I grew up with a Leslie.
Because not because of Leslie Nope, but because of the Naked Gun guy, Leslie
Nielsen.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Leslie
Yeah.
Nielsen. The Naked Gun dude. Like, how cool
So-
is that guy?
In the 5th grade, there were 4 girls in my class, all with the same name as me.
Oh,
Wow,
dude.
that must have been interesting, huh?
And I was like, nope, nope.
Yeah,
nope.
that's fair.
I only had one girl with the same name as me all through school, and the whole time she thought I was trolling her. And it turns out I didn't realize until a friend of mine tried to look me up on Facebook that it's actually a very popular name for Korean women. So, like, when you look me up on Facebook, it's me and then a whole bunch of Korean ladies. Like, so much. It just keeps going and going and going, like pulling tissues out of Kleenex box. So it's really something. I was surprised.
Yeah. All right, if you guys, for Mr. Nope in particular here tonight, if you are the winning bidder on the piece of art, fill out the form that's in the comments there and get your stuff done. And so Kyle just said bids are closed, so no more chances, sorry. But we do thank you, Mr. Nope, for bidding on Les's piece. And Fish, I enjoyed watching your piece come together, as we all did, I'm sure. And
I'm going to take it to Holland, Michigan this weekend and sell it.
Perfect. There you go. So if you guys want that one, if you changed your mind, you got to go to Michigan. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't make the rules. Mr. Fish did. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Fish. Thank you, Iggy. Thank you, Les. And thank you, Mog and Mel, for having me on the show to, trusting me with this very big job here. And we'll thank you all for watching. And if you're watching later and you have a comment for everybody, you can still put it in the comments. I'm pretty sure people will still read them. And we'll come back and check and get your answers.
Is there some place we'll do like a little debrief after all this for a minute?
We might can hang around afterwards if Kyle don't kick us out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I did a live stream a while back where somebody was purchasing a sketch that I did on the stream, and then nobody ever got back to me about it.
Well, you'll definitely hear back from Kyle.
Cool.
Or
I
Mog or Mel,
want to make
one of
sure
them.
that I get
Yes.
this off to the dude. And
Yes, you'll
and-
definitely get the information, and you'll get in touch. Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll figure. That's all. They got all that worked out to finely tuned machine here. But anyway, we got to get going because we're gonna get kicked off here in a second if we don't. So thank you all so much for coming, and have a great rest of your night.
Good night, folks.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.